Nope.
And as sad as it is, we got to move on. It's time to go to, the next topic, fixing the BCS. Because, Congress has already had steroids hearing. Why don't we, start talking about something more meaningful?
Just throw a big asteroid on it or asterisk on it, and we'll move on to a new era of new sports with steroids and pumped up players, and we'll just conquer the world with our athletes.
Fair enough. Unfortunately, that's all the trick-or-treating we have time for, but stay tuned because when we get back, Rich Ryan and Tom Waterman join me to discuss the BCS.
And the Candyman is back. You know the Candyman is back.
Welcome back to One-on-One Sports. I am thrilled to be joined by Rich Ryan and Tom Waterman as we discuss college football and the BCS in general this week. Tom, let's talk a little bit about Bobby Bowden. How did he do with that win over UNC last week?
I think it was a signature win for Bobby Bowden this year. I mean, his program, if you looked at him since he started there in 1975, he was fantastic in the 90s. They had 14 consecutive top 5 finishes in the polls, but since he lost Mark Richt as offensive coordinator, this is a different program. His team, the last 8 years, is 70-40. That's after losing only 10 games through 1990 to 2001. This program is different, and how does it say about this program when their signature win is beating UNC, a team they'd only lost to once before, and a team that only had 2 wins against Division I opponents?
Well, this isn't a UNC team of old. Look, Bobby Bowden is not Al Davis. He's not destroying Florida State University. Since the Florida State Seminoles have not had a losing season since 1976. You can't just throw Bowden under the bus. Plus, the team is bouncing back. Christian Ponder in the past game against Clemson, 359 and 5 touchdowns. The only reason they lost is because of a freak play with C.J. Spiller, 58-yard reception. FSU's not as bad as people think they are this year, and Bobby Bowden should be allowed to step down when he pleases to. He is the legacy of the Seminoles right now, and he should be given that respect and allowed to retire whenever he pleases to.
Well, how can he not just let them know? Because they've got the coach in waiting. Jimbo Fisher's already been named that. Just give them a hint of when he's going to retire. Because he's still bringing in these recruits. He's got 4 of his last 5 recruiting classes have been ranked in the top 10. They're not performing like that anymore. Half his kids get kicked out of school, and he has that big cheating scandal a few years ago.
Well, this debate will continue eternally, I assume, until he retires. Okay, speaking of coaches who are doing well this year. Coach of the Year predictions, we're about midway through the season. Rich, who do you like so far?
Oh, I got to say Randy Shannon right now to stick in the ACC. The Miami Hurricanes, look, they started off with a ceiling of 2-2 in his first 4 games of the season at FSU, against Georgia Tech, at Virginia Tech, and then Oklahoma. Well, they go 3-1, and the team's looking really good. Randy Shannon, a Hurricane for his entire life, played outside linebacker there, won a national championship, and then was defensive coordinator starting in 2001. They've been a top 7 defense every year since, besides 2004. The Hurricanes are back. They're playing great, and it's because of the leadership of Randy Shannon.
Randy Shannon has done a great job. So has a few other coaches in the ACC, Paul Johnson, people like that. But I'm going with David Cutcliffe. You look at this Duke program. They're 4-3 this year. But if you look back at the past, this isn't your Carl Franks Duke Blue Devils. This isn't your Ted Roof Blue Devils. From 2000 to 2007, they were 10-82. David Cutcliffe won 4 games last year, 4 games this year. They're playing competitive football. They're winning ACC games, and they're playing well. And that's something you cannot say about Duke for a very long time.
And you can say the same kind of comeback story for Randy Shannon. Going into last year, Sporting News ranked him last among BCS coaches. He's really turned it around, so 2 turnaround stories there in the ACC.
Great picks from both of you. Best conference so far this season?
Best conference, it hurts me to say it. I really want to say the Pac-10, but it's got to be the SEC. They're just way too top-heavy. Florida, Alabama, LSU, combined 14-1, and the only loss is in the Florida-LSU game. Those 3 teams are incredible. You know, look at the last 3 years. The SEC has won the national championship, Florida twice, LSU once. You know, the Pac-10's got 7 above 500 teams, but I can't take the Pac-10. The SEC is the most dominant conference in college
It
football.
has to be the SEC. They have the top 2 teams in the country in Florida and Alabama. They have the top 2 Heisman candidates in Mark Ingram and Tim Tebow. And if you look at this conference, they've got the best coaches. They produce more first-round NFL picks than any other conference in college football. And you look at the games from these last couple weekends: Florida, Arkansas, Alabama, Tennessee. Every game's close. Every team has a chance, and there's a reason why the best football is played in the South, and it's like no other.
And the defense especially. You look at in the top 25 defenses in total defense, 6 of the SEC teams rank in top 25 defense: Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, South Carolina, Mississippi, and LSU. So defensive-minded football, very fast football teams. The SEC is just top-notch.
I couldn't agree more. Now, excluding the Sun Belt Conference, who is the worst conference this year currently?
It's got to be the Big East. Going into the preseason polls, there were no teams ranked in the top 25, and that's for a reason. If you look at some of these out-of-conference wins, Youngstown State, Rhode Island, Charleston Southern, these are joke teams. Cincinnati, if you line them up, they're the best team in the Big East right now. You line them up against any other team from major conference, say Florida, Texas, any of these other teams, they would get killed. Their talent does not match up, and they don't play anyone.
Well, I have to agree that the Big East is definitely underskilled. The worst conference has to be the Big Ten because of expectations. You don't expect much from the Big East, but the Big Ten is a classic conference. Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, Wisconsin. These powerhouses have diminished over the past few years, especially this year. You know, Ohio State and Penn State always have friendly preseason rankings.